Hi guys, welcome to our review of the Audi RS3. I've been looking forward to driving this car for some time. After all, it's a compact 5-door hatchback with a creamy 5-cylinder 2.5-litre engine putting out 367 horsepower, something like 350 pounds-foot of torque, giving it a 0 to 100 time of 4.3 seconds. And of course it has quattro all-wheel drive and a 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch transmission. And it's priced at $211,000, although this press car, I can tell you thanks to this handy sheet here, is actually $222,500 because it has aluminium matte styling package, Audi magnetic ride, brake calipers in red, high beam assist, and roof rails with a matte aluminium look. It's interesting about that Audi magnetic ride, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Essentially, this is Audi's retort to the fantastic Mercedes A45 AMG, which I tested last year and we gave it an award. At that time, it only had 355 brake horsepower. But in fact, in response to this very car, Mercedes have put 376 horsepower into that car. So I won't go into too much details about this car, won't do the normal walk around, we don't need to. It's been around since 2012, this car. Luggage space is decent, split folding rear seats, so it's quite practical. Rear room also is quite good. 2 AC vents in the back, and me at 6'2" nearly can fit in there absolutely fine. Up here in the front, the seats are comfy, the seating position is good, and everything is as you'd expect in an Audi. In fact, it's a very familiar environment, and in fact this is an old Audi if you think about it, because it doesn't have the all digital instrument panel that we've seen in the newer Audis, such as the new TT and the Q7 for example, those cars. And the MMI, it seems to be quite traditional, and one beef of mine is that this car still has the Audi proprietary cable system rather than the USB port, so it doesn't have USB ports in this car. So in that sense, it still feels a little bit like old Audi rather than new Audi. So enough talking, let's just take it for a drive. Now, of course, it's got Audi's select drive select system that they always have in these cars, in most Audi cars nowadays. And I've got it set on individual rather than full dynamic. And of course, in individual, what you can do is you can set steering and everything and engine to dynamic. But you can, for example, leave the ride in comfort, which is the way I've been driving it around town. Now, I mentioned the Audi magnetic ride, that this particular car has an option, and which took me by surprise a little bit, because I have found the ride to be quite firm, dare I say even a little bit harsh, a little bit thumpy, clunky even, because you do hear a little bit of knocking, especially from the back, and quite fidgety. And that's all in comfort mode, so I've decided to leave it in comfort mode, because I think I might just get a bit too brittle if I put it into full sport. So that aside, I've got it in automatic now, normal automatic. Let's put it down into sport for a bit before we switch over to pedals. And there you go. And you know, it's got a ton of power. There we go, listen to that. It's also got a sports exhaust, I think, on this car, because it makes some great noises. And there, I've just gone to the pedals already. And you can just hear the parp on the upshifts, and a few bangs on the downshift, especially in the third. It does bang and crack a bit like a rally car, which I always like, you know, and that's a characteristic, that of course the AMG A45 also has, and which I quite liked about it. Felt like a little rally car. So again, let's just go into full manual, and you know, can you hear that pop, you know, that's great. Now, this car of course has quattro all-wheel drive, and the grip, I mean, yes, you can hear the surface because of that ride. I don't know what's going on there, but the grip is fantastic. I mean, it absolutely grips and grips and grips forever without any issue whatsoever. And look at the acceleration, just catapulting me past that car without even needing to think about it too much. And going into a corner, I'm going in on the throttle, no issues at all. Coming up to these S's, dab on the brakes. Let's take it down into second, see if it will hold. No, yes, we're into second, here we go. And whoa, the power, there we are on the limiter. And let's turning into the left here. And just as it starts to straighten out, see if I can get second again. No, it won't, so let's just stick in third. But you know, the torque is there, the power is there. I mean, this has got a lot of power. You know, having said that, I've come here to this road in the late afternoon because it's a little bit cooler. We are in the middle of summer, it's August, there you go, pop! That's great, isn't it? And it's very hot at the moment. We're talking about temperatures of over 45 degrees. And I find in the daytime, I do feel that the car struggled a little bit. It didn't feel the performance advantage as much as as much as I'm feeling now. So now at this time, when the temperature is showing now, it's showing on my dashboard as 38.5. It's just coming up to 6 o'clock now, so an hour before sunset, and it's a little bit cooler up here in the mountains, so that has actually helped the performance. But in the last couple of days I've been driving it, I've obviously not felt the performance advantage in this car as much as, for example, the Golf GTI Club Sport, which I tested recently, and you can see the review on our YouTube page and on our website. I'll come back to more of that in a minute. But out here now on this road, chucking it around, and with the grip, with the response of the chassis is absolutely fantastic. I could do with a little bit more sharpness, feedback and feel from the steering, and also there is a little bit of a hesitancy on turning. It just takes a while to turn in. A little bit more than I would have preferred, and I've also found that I would hesitate to call it understeer at these speeds and at these corners, but I have found on sweepers that it does understeer, and it does have a tendency to slightly follow the tangent through a little bit more than maybe you would prefer in a sporty thing such as this. But that is a typical Audi trait, so I guess it's to be expected. But here when you need the grip and you're just turning it in, it's faithful and planted and true. And I gotta say, the last couple of days, as I was mentioning, I kind of struggled with this car a little bit. I'm liking that. I've not quite enjoyed it as much as I thought, but because of the heat and because of the city driving, I don't think its true values, its true abilities and its true core competencies really shined in that environment as they are here and now on this fantastic road, and at these sort of speeds it really, really stands out, comes alive, and absolutely becomes a fun car to steer around. Now this car, of course, the idea is essentially that it is aimed at the Mercedes AMG A45, but I think actually, and this is going back to what I was talking about earlier, that its rival comes from within its own family, from within the old family group, the VAG group, and I think it is that Volkswagen Golf GTI, because that to me is sort of a new template now for hot hatches. And consider this, you know, that car, thank you very much, this gentleman or driver is braking for me. That car is 200 and it's about 100 horsepower less than this car. And I think the ride is better on that car. It loses only about a second or so on the 0 to 100 dash. I don't think it loses that much in terms of performance. The AC, I would say, is also better on the Golf, and I think the car looks more aggressive. Now, one thing about this car is that the styling is very good, it's very sound, it's what you'd expect, but it doesn't have that standout madness. Where are the big wings? Where are the big scoops? Where are the strakes? You know, where is the madness that I kind of wanted for this car? You know, and I do have I mean, admittedly, I had very high expectations of this car because I love the S7 RS7, RS6, I love those cars. Those cars are unbelievable. They are a standard, a performance executive saloon standard in their arena. So I guess I came to this car with a lot of expectations, hopes, desires, and anticipations, and perhaps it hasn't quite delivered on that front. And to me, the Golf GTI was well above the Club Sport, rather. It was well above my expectations. And considering that you save 70,000 dirhams by buying that car, I would say that actually, but the only trouble is that car is a limited edition car, so you have to hurry with those because they're going to run out. But this too, you know, I think it's nearing the end of its production life cycle for this shape of A3 Sportback. This is a Sportback shape, of course, or an estate shape if you like. So, you know, we were both talking about near end of scale, but somehow what they've done to the Golf, it just feels more modern and up to date. Compared to the Mercedes, I think, you know, again, some people compare this, also the Mercedes AMG and this car to the BMW M2. I think that's a wrong comparison because the BMW M2 is a rear-wheel drive coupe shape. It's not as practical as these cars, and it's rear-wheel drive, and also in this market, it's considerably more expensive than these cars. So, as much as I love the M2, I think that's a different type of car altogether. So, having said that, this is a good car. Don't get me wrong, a great car even. The only trouble that it has, and it's more a testimony not to this car, but to the pace of development in the industry in general, that things have moved on. They've moved on so quick that it's kind of left this car behind. You know, if this car had come out 2 years ago, we'd be all over it. We'd be like, wow, this is unbelievable. As it is, it's very good, and it's another good alternative in a burgeoning, you know, hot hat segment that we have now here in the Middle East. So we're very fortunate to have that. So there you go. That's my verdict on this car. Do indeed let me know what you think of the Audi RS3. Please let us know in the comments and below in the YouTube or on our website, wherever you're viewing them. Please do also follow us on motoringme.com and also on Facebook, where we do a lot of stuff, on Instagram, on Twitter, and all the rest of it. Just search for Motoring Middle East and you should be able to find us. Same goes for YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, please do like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Snapchat and also my personal Instagram accounts. Just search for Shahzad Sheikh. You should be able to find me. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one.